Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're embarking on an incredible journey not just through history, but deep into the very essence of how we, as humans, began to share complex ideas across time and space. We're talking about the forgotten genesis of written language. Now, when you think of the first writing, what comes to mind? Probably the elegant hieroglyphs of Egypt, or perhaps the wedge-shaped cuneiform of Mesopotamia, right? And you wouldn't be wrong. These are monumental achievements in human history, the bedrock of empires and literature. But what if I told you that the story of writing begins much, much earlier? I'm talking tens of thousands of years before the first scribe ever pressed a stylus into wet clay. Let's travel back in time, way back, to the Ice Age. Imagine a world dominated by massive glaciers, a world where our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, living in small, nomadic groups. Their survival depended on an intimate knowledge of their environment, the movement of animals, and the changing of seasons. How did they record and share this vital information? Not with an alphabet, but with symbols. All across Europe, from the caves of Spain to the rock shelters of France, archaeologists have discovered something extraordinary. Alongside those famous, breathtaking paintings of mammoths and bison, they found a series of repeating abstract signs. We're talking about dots, lines, zigzags, hand stencils, and shapes that look like hashtags or open ovals. For a long time, these were either ignored or dismissed as mere doodles or decorations. But a new wave of researchers, like paleoanthropologist Genevieve von Petzinger, started to wonder, what if this was something more? Von Petzinger and her team painstakingly cataloged these symbols from over 350 Ice Age sites. What they found was astonishing. The same 32 signs appeared again and again, across a continent, for a period spanning 30,000 years. Let that sink in. 30,000 years. This wasn't random scribbling. This was a system, a convention. This, my friends, looks an awful lot like the very first glimmers of graphic communication. Think about what this means. A symbol for mammoth, or river crossing, could be understood by different groups who might not even speak the same dialect. It's a way of storing information outside the human brain. A line of dots might represent a number of days or track the phases of the moon. A particular zigzag might signify a dangerous predator or a specific mountain range. This is the fundamental purpose of writing, to make the spoken word, the fleeting thought, permanent and portable. So, what were they writing about? While we can't translate it like we can Egyptian hieroglyphs, the context gives us clues. Many of these signs are found in the deepest, most inaccessible parts of caves, places that were likely sacred. This suggests the symbols may have been part of rituals, shamanic journeys, or used to convey spiritual knowledge. Imagine a young hunter being initiated, led deep into the earth to be shown the sacred symbols that connected their clan to the spirit world and the cosmos. Other signs appear next to animal paintings. Recent studies have proposed that combinations of dots and lines next to animals like horses or aurochs were actually a form of proto-writing, a sophisticated lunar calendar tracking the animal's reproductive cycles. A Y symbol, for example, might mean to give birth. This wasn't just art. It was a hunter's almanac, a survival guide etched in stone. It shows a level of cognitive and abstract thinking that is truly mind-blowing for a period we often casually dismiss as primitive. This system wasn't writing in the full sense that we understand it today. It couldn't capture the full range of spoken language, like grammar or complex sentences. But it was a critical first step. It was the moment our ancestors realized that a simple agreed-upon mark could represent a complex idea. It was the birth of the symbol. This is the cognitive leap that eventually made cuneiform and hieroglyphs possible. The scribes of Sumer and Egypt didn't invent writing from scratch. They were building on a legacy of symbolic communication that was already tens of thousands of years old. They refined it, systematized it, and linked it directly to the sounds of their spoken language, creating the first true writing systems. But the foundational idea, the spark, was ignited long before, in the flickering torchlight of an Ice Age cave. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? The very device you're watching this on, the books on your shelf, the signs you read every day, they all have a direct lineage back to a forgotten artist scribe who, 40,000 years ago, decided to carve a series of lines on a piece of bone to remember a story, track a herd, or map the stars. They were the first in a long line of communicators, and their whispers have echoed through the millennia, leading directly to our noisy, information-rich world. The genesis of writing wasn't a single event, but a slow, creeping dawn that lasted for thousands of years. And by looking back at these forgotten symbols, we get a profound glimpse into the minds of our earliest ancestors and the very origins of what makes us human.